Adam22 and his wife's marriage is over. After a recent podcast that dropped on No Jumper, there were thousands of signs that him and his wife are done.
There's probably a whole world of women who will never want to date me once we divorce because of my choices.
And none of those...
Today, we're picking apart the sound bites on this podcast so we can find out if there's any shred of hope for these two. And by the looks of it, we're gonna have to look pretty hard for this hope. In fact, here's Adam's thought process on how the relationship came to be.
Her, and in my drunken mind, I had to make the decision. Do I want to shoot for this new Latina pussy, or do I want to get married and spend 8 or 9 years with this Armenian
8 or 9
delicacy?
years. Gee whiz. What?
I made my choice, and I think it was probably a good one.
You got a 9-year thing? That's it?
We've been together for...
It'll be 9 years at the end of this year, but yes.
Wow, the way that she didn't flinch when he said that is evidence of conversations happening behind closed doors. This is not the first time the D word has come up between the two of them. And in fact, a lot of people saw this coming. With Adam and his wife being adult performers, it puts a lot of unique stress on the relationship. But it wasn't until Adam let his wife sleep with another man where the internet started to step in and give their two thoughts on the relationship.
I called Adam22. Once again, I have no idea who this man is. I just saw on Twitter yesterday that he was with a porn star who'd never done a male scene. They got married, and like a week after their marriage, she did her first male scene with some random dude. And he's on a podcast defending it.
Did his wife have sex with somebody else?
Correct.
Needless to say, their publicity stunt got a lot of attention. I wonder if that's ever something in the back of Adam's mind that he regrets. Maybe he won't say it on camera, but I wonder if deep inside his mind, he regrets doing that. But the crazy thing is their comments don't stop there. They keep talking about the fact of them splitting up. In fact, here is Adam talking about who Lena would date if they weren't in a relationship.
I could picture her dating a much younger man, having, you know, a 25-year-old NLE Choppa type under her arm. Myself, probably...
You just broke up with me in the future?
No,
yes,
Watching this back now, I don't know why they're laughing. You know what I mean? Humor is probably the only way they can bring these topics up without it being extremely serious and without them getting into a fight. I personally don't know many married folks that joke about who the other person's type is and who they would date if they weren't in a relationship. I mean, let me know in the comments below. Maybe some of you guys have friends like that, but I certainly don't. But the video gets a little more weird because Adam goes on to explain what his type is, or basically what would happen if they weren't in a relationship.
I think I have an asexual future ahead of me. I think I'm going to become like a depressed tournament guy playing poker all day. Yeah.
If he could sit at home all day, he would just watch YouTube videos and play video games the whole day.
For me, it's the subtle jabs that they use when they talk about things like this. But I don't want this video to be just about my observations. There was a book written by Dr. Gottman called The 7 Principles of Making a Marriage Work. And in it, he talks about 4 Horsemen of Divorce. Throughout the rest of this video, I want you to think if this couple displays any of the Horsemen of Divorce. But let's continue listening to Adam talk about what he would do without Lena.
She told me the other day she thinks I'm becoming a hermit because, see, okay, she would be more attracted to me. This is one of my main conflicts in our relationship. She would be more attracted to me if I took on hobbies. Like, she was very attracted to the BMX part of my life when I'm outside doing something with my hands, getting dirty, hanging out with the boys, etc. Recently, I mentioned that I would kind of like to play guitar. I would like to learn to play guitar just because it's so outside of anything I've ever done that I feel like it would be an interesting challenge. And she loves that. She hates me sitting on the computer by myself watching podcasts, playing poker. That to her is very like, ew.
I want you to like get into carpenter work and like help me build a cabinet.
Okay, so for the most part, they're, you know, complaining in general, but nothing like criticism, stonewalling, at least not what I've seen yet. Also, if you're enjoying this video, join the Observation Nation. We take a look at what's going on in pop culture and we observe from afar. We observe all types of things. In fact, if you have a suggestion, let me know in the comments below. But let's keep going.
Oh, it's not even that. It's just like when the electrician guy comes and knocks on the door, he's like, hold on, let me get my wife. Whereas more people come and say, let me get my husband.
But I've never had to call an electrician in my whole life. I don't even know, like, I would like... You don't know
the light switches, I know.
I would love for you sometime to just tell me, like, hey, there's this problem in the house. Can you take care of it? Although, to be honest...
Because what's going to happen if you're going to be like, the guy told me stuff I don't fucking remember what it was.
And
You
I'm
should
gonna be
call
like,
it.
yo, Josh, can you help me out? We're getting an electrician over here.
Whoa. Okay. Did you guys see Lena's body language at the end of that? I mean, for most of this podcast, she's been leaning back, very casual, but watch her head tilt. Like, just look at the way she moves her head. Oh, there's something that he said that really upset her. But honestly, I guess the good news for them is we don't have any evidence of the Horsemen. Well, that's all about to change.
Okay, this is the thing. She is so neurotic and on top of everything and needs to know how every single thing works.
In my own house that I pay a
you a
mortgage
But
on,
daddy's
yes.
girl?
she won't really like let me have any responsibilities because she doesn't trust
Because
me
you're so
enough to handle
incapable.
them.
Well, you're a
And,
daddy's
I mean,
girl.
Oh my gosh. I kind of feel bad for the other couple that has to kind of sit on the other side of the table, try and keep the podcast entertaining while at the same time having a conversation in the back of their mind of, you know, maybe we should talk to them after this podcast to make sure they're actually okay. This is honestly just kind of hard to watch. But surprisingly, the more time passes, it's like the more they're comfortable to share their true emotions about one another. I mean, there's only so much you can hide body language wise and even verbally on a podcast that's an hour long.
You take over.
we have a liar.
But it's also not only coming from Adam. It's also subtle digs from Lena. Later in the podcast, they talk about essentially how gangster Adam is. And this is Lena's thoughts on his background.
When you see just how normal and regular his parents are, I feel like you'll just see where he came from and you'll be like, you'll see him a little differently.
That's fair.
I feel like in any other context, that would be undetectable. But because of the comments before and the tension between these two, that's kind of a loaded statement. I mean, am I alone? Do you guys think the same thing? And honestly, it's just the accumulation of the small things they say, even like this.
I am in the
I don't have
position
to-
where I
I
have to
don't have to
think for
move.
everybody, and therefore I can never relax. So there's
And
that.
that was
She
actually the hard-
chooses to think for everybody. Like she refuses to let anybody else be in
I
control
was
of what's
like
going
that
on.
in the
ever.
beginning.
Yikes. So far we've seen criticism, contempt, and in this next clip, we might just see defensiveness. I mean, here's them talking about how often they go on dates now.
Anal
When was
at
the
the end
last
of the
time we went on a
rainbow.
date?
We go on dates all the time. It's hard to even remember.
Fuck off. Get out of here.
I want to take her on random dates and stuff. It's very difficult because she's such a control freak that I can't just pick a random restaurant.
Why not?
Because she's gonna get involved and she's gonna be like, "Well,
Come on,
I
you
know
gotta
you booked
stop.
it at this restaurant, but I really want to."
This has happened like one
Nah,
time in
you
a
got
year.
a lot of times.
You got
I feel like we're-
you got it.
And there's honestly the Horsemen of Defensiveness. So I think we're really just missing the stonewalling one, which I don't know if that's going to happen off camera or somewhere else, but I don't want to say this is pretty definitive, but I'm a believer in love. I want to see people stay together, but maybe this wasn't meant to be. I don't know. What do you guys think of the comments? But I do believe this quote right here is the smoking gun behind why they will actually get divorced.
There's probably a whole world of women who will never want to date me once we divorce, because of my choices.
And none of those.
If Adam and Lena don't do anything, I think they're headed for divorce very quickly. But if you thought that was the only couple receiving flack on the internet, you would be wrong. There is an age gap couple on TikTok that is taking a beating in the comments. If you want to learn more, watch this video right here and I'll see you there.